Hello and welcome back to Driver's Therapy. In today's video, we're going to be talking about the Toyota Supra, my 5 years of ownership, and why it's still stock. I know, but once I explain it to you, you might understand. All right, so let's rewind the clock a little bit. So I bought the Supra back 5 years ago in San Francisco, right? I've always been crazy about them. I got to give you a quick little memory I have. When I was 18, which is a long time ago, kind of makes me feel really old. 18 or 19, I used to go to car meets with my CRX. I thought I was I thought I was part of the Fast and Furious crew back there. And the car meets were huge. And the cool thing about in Texas, I love Texas because their car scenes don't play around. Their car scenes were so big, but it was kind of organized. I don't know if it was natural or not, but they were all categorized, like Camaros, Mustangs, Supras. So I would find myself walking down and I would see the line of Supras, and I said, one day I will own a Supra. So in those 5 years I was talking about ago, we flew down to San Francisco, we saw this beauty, and we bought it. Now, I could tell you that the cross-country trip from San Francisco to Orlando, Florida was perfect. The target top was a little loose. So the whole time we were driving it, it was making noises, and I was terrified that the top would just fly off. But luckily, it didn't. So we got lucky. And then I found out that it was a very common problem. All you had to do was just tighten down the bolts. I didn't know that, but now I do. So anyways, if you own a Supra, always tighten down your bolts. So anyways, we got the car, and the very first thing I wanted to do was modify it, right? I mean, guys, we're car enthusiasts. We love to tinker with things. We love to add more power. We like to make things loud. And I was the same way. I'm I'm gonna make this Supra just like the 1320 videos. We're gonna kick butt. We're gonna do it. This is gonna be awesome. But then something happened. This was my daily driver. I decided that I'm going to daily drive a Supra. At the time we spent a lot of money, and we didn't want to buy a Supra and then buy another car. It was I'm buying this car, I've got to use it. It was like my mom used to say, this is what's for dinner. You either eat it or you don't. And that's it for dinner. So essentially this was my car. So I was all right, I'm going to drive this thing. So as I was driving it, guys, to Lowe's and Chipotle and to the hardware store, I was just this is a really comfortable car. I mean, I could fit things in the back. It's got leather seats. I mean, the windows are almost bulletproof because you can't hear anything outside. World War IV could be happening and you're just cruising along. And I was just this thing is awesome. And then on the highway, it just feels good. And I'm just well, I don't need to switch the coilovers if the ride feels good. And I'm I mean, the car feels great, but then I know, guys, but then I'm telling myself, everywhere I go, people are that's a Supra. What do you got done to it? And I'm nothing. And they're oh, okay, that's cool. And I was I don't think it needs anything. But then I started doubting myself. I was no, I got to start modifying it. And guys, before anyone thinks that the money was an issue, it really isn't. And not saying about personal finances, but about modifying the Supra. It's really not that expensive. So there's this company called Powerhouse Racing. I'm not sponsored. There's too many cool Supra guys out there who are already sponsored. They would laugh at a stock guy. But anyways, Powerhouse Racing, they make a turbo kit. It's called the Street Torque Kit. That is essentially for people like me who are scared to go single. They make it easy. They make it as a package. You could run your stock catalytic converters. You could use your stock injectors. It's almost a plug and play turbo kit. And it's between $3,000 to $5,000. And the only reason why it varies is if you want a fancy color on your turbo, or if you want to paint your intercooler pipes a fancy color, they charge you for more anyway. So it's not that hard to do that. So I'm well, why shouldn't I do that if everybody says it's good? Well, I'm putting my key in the ignition and I'm enjoying every aspect of the car. And I'm just I don't know why I'm going to go in there and do that. Now, I have to also admit something else. I don't know if it's me, but anytime I go in there, I'm hey guys, I'm going to replace my air filter. And I tell my wife, I'm hey Elise, I'll be back and I'm going to go in the garage, switch out the air filter. Should take me 5 minutes. Well, An hour and a half goes later, she opens up the door and I say, get the hell out of here. And I'm mad. It's because something went wrong, and that always happens to me. Like, it doesn't matter what it is. I'm switching out a bulb. Oh, great, the connector broke. Or I'm switching out a spark plug. Like, I can't get it out. So I'm thinking the car runs perfect. It drives perfect. And on top of that, you know, like, I don't want to mess with it if it's running. Now, it's been 5 years. It's been stock. This is what this video is about. But if something happens to the turbos, guys, we're going single. We're going single real quick. Now, I don't want any of you guys sneaking into my garage and messing with my twin turbos because I like them. But that's pretty much it, guys. All I have done to the car. Now, let's go through the list of what I've done to the car in 5 years really quickly. 98 headlights, 98 taillights, these awesome Vogue wheels that gave me almost a heart attack, and a downpipe. Now, if you want somebody to make fun of, please. Probably about 3 years ago, I bought a downpipe, put it on. Put the downpipe on with the stock exhaust. Bad combination. Took it off. Sold it on Craigslist. Some guy pulled up and says, hey man, how much you bought this for? I was like, $400. He's like, I'll give you 50. I'm like, okay. Just this past year, I bought the downpipe again. So yeah, but this time around, I put the downpipe with the HCAS exhaust, which is actually a really good combination. And the great thing about it is it eliminates the two restrictive catalytic converters, which gives you between 35 to 45 horsepower, which is a lot. So I like that. So I can't say it's completely stock, but it is, if that makes sense. Because you never know. Tomorrow I might be like, hey, anybody want a downpipe for 50 bucks? And somebody will buy it. So that is what I've done to the Supra, guys. And that is why I've kept it stock. And I hope you guys can understand that. And I really can't wait to hear your comments about what you think about that. And you never know. You know, we're going to have the Supra as long as we can, and we'll go from there. Now, before we go, I would love to hear about your guys' opinions about modifying your car. Now, I watch a lot of YouTubers out there, and I talk to a lot of you guys, just meet friends out there, meet fellow car enthusiasts, and I've heard the same thing. Like, sometimes it's just nice to leave a car stock. Now, I hope you enjoyed this video. We have a lot of cool things coming up with the Supra. I actually have a really neat surprise. Something is being built in the UK right now. I'm not gonna say anything about what it is, but it should be really neat because they build in the UK, we're having it shipped to America, and we're gonna install it on the Supra. It's not a performance mod, but your minds will be blown. All right, guys. Well, thank you for watching Driver's Therapy. You stay safe, and we'll see you soon.